Hello fellow citizens, so Metaverse is Josh on blockchain TXB and today is the 21st of October 2022 and the global cryptocurrency market is not looking good at all. Now I do have this feeling that over the weekend the global cryptocurrency market might just go below the $900 billion mark. Now what kind of an impact will this have on the cryptocurrency and blockchain platforms that are linked to Metaverse? So guys, what are your thoughts? Mention them in the comments below. Now in today's episode regarding Metaverse, I'm going to be discussing a blue ocean in the Metaverse. Now I'm sure at this point of time, you know what blue ocean is. So we'll be exploring the possible new industries in the Metaverse. And are we just remodeling existing industries in the Metaverse? Now listen guys, when you talk about Metaverse, it is so critical to have an immersive experience in the Metaverse. And not just an immersive experience, the immersive experience needs to be 10x or 10 times better than what we are currently experiencing. So we'll be talking about that in today's episode. We'll also be talking about an Ask Me Anything session that I plan to have starting from the month of November. And the Ask Me Anything session will be done in a Metaverse platform because the whole idea is why not have a Metaverse Everything podcast in the Metaverse? So I'll be explaining that in today's episode. And in today's episode, I'm also going to be discussing the payments and medium of exchange in the Metaverse. And guys, one thing in my Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast, I often say is Lightning Network, not blockchain, is a momentum which is building pace not just in the Bitcoin maximalist community, but also in the cryptocurrency community as well. So we'll be looking at the benefits of Bitcoin Lightning Network. We'll also talk about tokenomics and DeFi, and is RippleNet or XRP an ideal form of payment in the Metaverse. We'll also be very briefly talking about CBDCs and multiple CBDCs and stablecoins and fiat currencies and if they are an ideal form of payment in the Metaverse. And guys, like we always do in every Metaverse Everything podcast, I'm also going to be sharing the top 5 Metaverse news from around the world and top 5 Metaverse news from Dubai. And we're going to kickstart the episode by looking at the price of cryptocurrencies and blockchain platforms that are linked to Metaverse. Now surprisingly, via CoinMarketCap, ICP, that is Internet Protocol, is showing as a top performing platform under Metaverse. Now I do think that is incorrect, so I'm going to be completely ignoring that and I'll be looking at the market share, the 24-hour trading volume, and also be looking at the price of ApeCoin, Decentraland, Sandbox, Axie Infinity and Theta Network. And listen guys, the final quarter of 2022 I was hoping will show indication of a bullish market, but unfortunately the first 3 weeks of October has not been ideal for global cryptocurrency market and the Metaverse platforms as well. So let's kickstart today's episode. So welcome everyone, it's 18 here in Dubai and you're listening to Metaverse Everything, where we solely focus on Metaverse. We cover top 5 Metaverse news from around the world and top 5 Metaverse news from Dubai. And Metaverse Everything is a research-driven podcast focusing on educational and informational content about Metaverse and its impact. And remember guys, Monday to Thursdays, we also have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how the series under Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. And Monday to Thursdays, we also cover 2 news and information related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. Now since you've taken care of that, let's look at the cryptocurrency platforms that are linked to Metaverse. Now before that guys, if you're looking at the price via CoinMarketCap, for some odd reason, it is also showing ICP protocol in the top 5 performing platforms under Metaverse section. Now I do think that this might be some kind of an error. Now if you know about ICP or Internet Protocol, when they launched, they were immediately in the top 10 cryptocurrency market cap. Unfortunately, over 90% of its market share has completely disappeared. So if you're looking at CoinMarketCap, I would really recommend to avoid looking at the price of ICP. Now let's look at ApeCoin. ApeCoin's price is $4.20, and since the last 24 hours it is down by 1.76%, and since the last 7 days it is down by 10.91%. Decentraland or Mana has been doing ridiculously bad since the last 7 days. It is down to 60 cents, and since the last 7 days it is down by 7.82%, and since the last 24 hours it is down by 1.26%. The same thing with Sandbox. It is down to 72 cents, and since the last 24 hours it is down by 1.15%, and since the last 7 days it is down by 8.42%. Axie Infinity looks like the news has completely disappeared for almost 6 months now. Now earlier in the year, all of the South Asian countries were completely hyped about Axie Infinity, and I used to look at Philippines. There were quite a lot of people in Philippines. They had the livelihood in Axie Infinity. Unfortunately, they have been on a downtrend. And the price of Axie Infinity, or AXS, is down to $9.32. And since the last 24 hours, it is down by 5.65%. And since the last 7 days, it is down by 18.89%. Theta Network, or Theta, is at 98 cents. And surprisingly, since the last 24 hours, it is marginally up by 0.04%. But since the last 7 days, it is down by 4.95%. Now guys, if you look at the market cap of cryptocurrency and blockchain platforms that are linked to Metaverse is at $11 billion. And since the last 24 hours, it is down by 0.25%. But the surprising thing is the 24-hour trading volume. It has gone down to less than $1 billion. And the 24-hour trading volume stands at $982 million. Now, what I think is because of the inflation numbers which were out, the entire global cryptocurrency market has gone down, and this has clearly had an impact on the cryptocurrency and blockchain platforms that are linked to Metaverse. But guys, with the midterm election taking place in the next few weeks, do you think that these numbers will change? And what are your price predictions over the weekend? I do think that the global cryptocurrency market would go either ways. It might either go below the $900 billion mark, or it might shoot to over $1 trillion mark. And guys, one thing which I often say in my Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast is, when it comes to price predictions, my price predictions are 100% right 50% of the time. Now guys, let's talk about Metaverse. Now, so far as Metaverse is concerned, we need to understand what Blue Ocean is. So essentially, Blue Ocean strategy is referred to a market for a product where there is no competition or very less competition. If you look at Dubai, unfortunately, it is currently in a red ocean, not just for Metaverse, but also for cryptocurrencies and blockchain as well. So if you are a business startup or if you're an entity planning to get into Metaverse, unfortunately, there is too much competition right now. Now, Dubai might be an ideal place to still start your business, but the amount of competition that you would get makes it a red ocean. So what I would recommend is take some time off, try to understand the blue ocean in Metaverse, areas where there is little or no competition. And I do think focusing on that might give you a competitive advantage. Now, my quick question is, what do you guys think in the Metaverse and in the Metaverse industry? What are the areas with little or no competition? And being an early adopter will give you a competitive advantage. Maybe having strong economies of scale will give you a competitive advantage. And I hate to say this, but having a monopoly in that area will give you a significant competitive advantage. So what are your thoughts? Mention them in the comments below. The second thing which I'd like to talk about is, with the whole Web 3.0 hype and Metaverse hype, what new industries will emerge with mainstream adoption of Metaverse? Now, what I'm talking about is an industry that has not been identified or created yet. Think of social media, for instance. Before mobile phones and mobile technology, we did not anticipate the importance of social media and the influencer economy. Similarly to Metaverse, what are the industries that are not yet identified or created yet? Mention your thoughts in the comments below. Now, I do think that neurotech combined with Metaverse could open a plethora of different opportunities in the Metaverse which has not been identified yet. What are your thoughts on space travel? If you look at entertainment industry, I don't think that is a new industry. They have just transitioned from existing industry to Metaverse, and this is where I'm going to be talking few points regarding remodeling existing industries to fit the Metaverse industry. So things like travel, social media, and surprisingly guys, banking industry is moving into Metaverse. And in today's news, when I'm going to be talking about one news from Dubai, one of the banks has already been launched in Decentraland, so I'll be talking about that. And strangely, in today's episode, there are two news which has got to do with police getting into Metaverse. So looks like a lot of the existing industries are transitioning into Metaverse, and this is precisely the reason why I think it is so important not just to have an immersive experience, but the immersive experience needs to be 10 times better. And guys, since the last few months, there's a lot of hype about fashion industry and entertainment industry moving into Metaverse. It is a brilliant use case, but the interactions that you have cannot be ordinary. It needs to be 10 times better than what you're currently experiencing. So Metaverse, I do think, needs to have a 10x immersive experience in order to be effective. Just replicating real world to Metaverse in the form of avatars or in the form of virtual worlds or augmented reality will not make it. Now what I do feel is with the whole Web 3.0 hype, self-sovereign identity is critical. Now I do think that self-sovereign identity still rests with Web 2.0, but apps that are built on self-sovereign identity, often called as SSIBAC or self-sovereign identity-based access control apps built in Metaverse with 10x immersive experiencing, capturing all the 5 senses of human being does open the portal to a truly immersive Metaverse experience. So a truly Metaverse experience is a must, and it needs to make sure that it captures all the 5 senses. Now when you talk about 10x immersive experiences, what I'd like you to do is think of the impact WhatsApp has had to regular mobile phone. Now in your regular mobile phone, we could only send messages or SMS or text messages and make calls. What impact has WhatsApp had to mobile phone? The impact, is it 1 time better? Is it 2 times better? Or is it 10 times better? What impact email has had to regular physical mail? Now I do think there is no comparison in saying that emails in comparison to physical mail is definitely more than 10 times better. So the point what I'm trying to put across is when you're trying to build things on Metaverse, you can't just replicate things from the current industry to the Metaverse industry. The experience has to be 10 times better. And the fact is, if a user does not feel that the experience is 10 times better, they will just go back to the old form of system. And that is something which we have notoriously seen with Decentraland and the Sandbox platform as well. And there was a report and debate in terms of the daily active users between Decentraland and Sandbox. And one of the reasons, guys, why people don't tend to utilize these platforms is only because of the immersive experience. So I do think that the immersive experience in Metaverse needs to be at least 10 times better for users to continuously use the platform, and that also drives to getting more user on board as well. The next thing what I'd like to talk about is Ask Me Anything series. And look guys, I always had this idea of having a Metaverse podcast in Metaverse. So from November onwards, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to have an Ask Me Anything session in the Metaverse platform, and that is going to be done in MetaQuest. And in MetaQuest, they have an app called Rooftop 42. And if you are someone who's using MetaQuest, go to Rooftop 42, and I'm going to be having an Ask Me Anything session, answering any questions related to Metaverse. And to be honest, guys, I'm not an expert in Metaverse, and I don't think anyone is an expert in Metaverse. And now lately, I did have interviews with some really brilliant people from the Metaverse Standards Forum. Now, if I don't know the answers, what I most likely will do is I might be asking those people who are recently interviewed for Metaverse Standards Forum for the answers, or I'll try to contact CEOs and startups and I'll try to ask them these questions. And the Ask Me Anything series is mostly catered to answering questions regarding hardware related to Metaverse. So if you have any questions regarding, let's say, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, semiconductor or chips, I'll be answering those questions. If you have any questions so far as the software is concerned and how does blockchain protocol merges with Metaverse, I'll try to answer those questions as well. If you have any questions regarding payments and NFTs, something which I do think I have a kind of an expertise in that area, you're more than welcome to ask me any questions on that. If you have any questions regarding user adoption, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions as well. And generally speaking, at the Ask Me Anything series, if you have any questions, let's say at a macro level or micro level, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. And just a reminder, guys, on the 17th of November, I do have a session called as Metaverse Everything, where we explore the hype of Metaverse, the reality of Metaverse, and what are the different payment channels that can be used in the Metaverse. So the Ask Me Anything series will be going live from the first week of November. So if you do have any questions, jot them down and you're more than welcome to ask me these questions in the Metaverse. Now let's talk about payments in the Metaverse. Listen guys, there's so much of hype and fluff about Web 3.0 having self-sovereign identity, but payments in Metaverse is a critical area. Now I strongly do think that Bitcoin Lightning Network offers the most scalable and best security of Bitcoin blockchain, and it will be the most ideal form of payment in the Metaverse. And a trend which is being observed in the Bitcoin maximalist community is Lightning Network, not blockchain. Now listen, I won't try to explain what Lightning Network is because it just digresses from the whole Metaverse topic, but if you do want to find out everything about Lightning Network, go to blockstream.com and they have quite a lot of useful resources explaining what Bitcoin Lightning Network is. And the CEO guys of Blockstream is Adam Back, who I personally think is 100% Satoshi Nakamoto. Now going back to Bitcoin Lightning Network, why I think it will be an ideal form of payment in the Metaverse is because it solves interoperability as well. So loads of useful information on Bitcoin Lightning Network. After Bitcoin Lightning Network, what I think is an ideal form of payment is probably tokens which are issued by central entity. Now Facebook or Meta, what they plan to do is they plan to issue tokens, and these tokens can be utilized as a medium of payment. So tokens issued by protocol will solve a lot of the problem. And guys, you also need to understand that as time goes by and once you're off from the bearish market, once you are in the bullish market, I'm pretty sure that DeFi protocols will be built in Metaverse, and Meta5, which is Meta Finance, will also most likely occur in the Metaverse. Now surprisingly, I do think RippleNet or XRP is also a good use case as a payment in the Metaverse, and interoperability is still a challenge so far as tokens, DeFi, MetaFi, RippleNet is concerned, and this is keeping in mind the whole blockchain trilemma problem. Now does Bitcoin Lightning Network solve that? At the current moment, no, but as time goes by, there is a very high possibility that Bitcoin's Lightning Network does solve the blockchain trilemma problem, and it offers, if not one of the best, security features as well. The third thing which I think is central bank digital currencies. Now look guys, I'm not a fan of central bank digital currencies, and I do think that it is a massive threat to freedom, but when you talk about it in context of Metaverse, they do offer a best use case for Metaverse. But at what cost? It is an extremely centralized protocol by design, but central bank digital currencies do offer a better user experience. Now guys, think of it. Let's say an average user who has no knowledge about cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and is not interested in cryptocurrencies as well. What form of payment would he prefer? Would he prefer fiat currencies? Would he prefer Bitcoin Lightning Network? Or will he prefer a cryptocurrency which is designed by the central bank of the country that he is from? I do feel that an average user will be more comfortable with CBDCs or central bank digital currencies. And one of the advantages of CBDCs, which I don't like by the way, is the ability to offer customer service and offer chargebacks and quite a lot more. So central bank digital currencies and multiple CBDCs that is doing cross-border transactions will be more ideal in the Metaverse. The fourth point that I'm thinking about is stablecoins. Now, stablecoins will be absolutely easy to adopt in the Metaverse, and it is also interoperable as well, but it again goes back to the whole blockchain trilemma. They do offer scalability, they do offer security, but they're definitely not decentralized. So when you talk about stablecoins, they do compromise heavily so far as decentralization. The other area which I think of is, and this might sound a bit complicated, what I'm thinking of is what if we have an algorithmically backed stablecoins which is backed by Satoshi or Bitcoin, but it is also built on Lightning Network. Now that guys I do think will be an absolute game changer. It also tackles the blockchain trilemma problem 3 to 5 years down the line, that is scalability, decentralization or distributed, and security, and it also offers, if not one of the best privacy features as well. So an algorithmically backed stablecoins backed by Satoshi or Bitcoin built on Lightning Network I do think will be a game changer. And the other area which I do think could be a game changer is, let's say if a centralized stablecoin, let's say like Tether USDT or Circle's USDC or Binance USD does have its source code completely open and transparent, does have all its backing completely transparent 24/7, and if they were to implement zero knowledge proof, I do think that that would also offer a brilliant use case and a form of payment in Metaverse. But a centralized stablecoin does compromise on decentralization or distributed nature, as I like to call it. The other areas that I think of is NFTs. Let's say if there are NFTs that have utilities that can be used as a medium of exchange as well. And what I do think is NFTs can be created in the Metaverse. So let's say if I put up my Oculus headset, I log in using Web 3.0 technologies, that is private key and public key. I log into a particular platform. Once I log in, it could be possible that an NFT is created in the Metaverse, and that may have some utilities and can be utilized as a payment in the Metaverse. So that is one area that I can think of. And currently, guys, there are so many NFTs that give you access in the Metaverse. I do know of a project which I talked about, I believe, way back in February, where only NFT holders will get access to an app which is developed in the Metaverse. So it is kind of like a payment or proof of attendance in the Metaverse. The other area that I think is really critical in the Metaverse is subscriptions. And I do feel that stablecoins and central bank digital currencies could be an ideal form of payment, along with Bitcoin Lightning Network as well. So I really recommend you guys to look at Bitcoin Lightning Network. And if you are a developer, you can build apps or dApps in Bitcoin Lightning Network. I do think tokens can also be used as subscription. And that's one of the goals of Mark Zuckerberg or Meta. They do want to issue tokens, and these tokens can be used to pay for subscription. And one area, guys, which is of an interest is when you have subscription charges, what happens to chargebacks? Now, with cryptocurrencies, as we know, it is next to impossible to have chargebacks. But if you have tokens or if you have CBDCs and stablecoins, there is a possibility to do chargebacks as well. The next area, guys, which is taking a lot of hype in the fintech sector is buy now, pay later. Now, this area is of keen interest, particularly for physical hardware devices, that is augmented reality, virtual reality headsets, and mixed reality headsets. So having buy now, pay later option will be a game changer. And guys, last week I did interview one of the members from Metaverse Standards Forum, and his protocol is planning to have similar services. Rather than buying hardware from outside, what you can do is you can buy it from them on a monthly subscription basis. So I think it is an absolutely brilliant idea, and I'm going to be releasing that episode most likely today or tomorrow. And the CEO is Greg Merrick, who's the founder of Parallel Office. So please check that out. And the other area where I think of is, let's say, renting your property in the Metaverse. So let's say if Snoop Dogg, who has his property in the Metaverse, I believe in Sandbox, if he wants to rent that and give it out, I'm pretty much sure that the fans would go crazy and they would be willing to pay quite a lot of funds, and just to show that they have rented the property from Snoop Dogg. And the next area that I think of is credit facility, and this is as and when time goes by and when Metaverse gets mainstream adoption. I do feel there's an area called MetaFi or MetaFinance that they're going to start offering credit facility, and this is only to do with Metaverse, not connected to the real world. And guys, but I also think that it could be possible that there is some crazy idea where user gets rewarded for participation as well. Now, with so much of hype so far as Web 3.0 is concerned, I do feel there's a lot of hype. And guys, regarding fiat currencies, what are your thoughts? Will fiat currencies be an ideal form of payment? Now, one thing which I do feel is there needs to be a 10x improvement between fiat currencies and other form of payments. Now, this current part of time, the user experience in cryptocurrencies is definitely not 10x. So it could be possible that fiat currencies could be an ideal form of payment in the Metaverse as well. It offers users a lot of comfort because you already experience using fiat currencies, that is your banking system. It is extremely easier to transition users from fiat currencies into Metaverse, and the whole chargeback process is 10 times better using fiat currencies. Now, what are your thoughts? Mention them in the comments below. Now guys, let's look at top 5 Metaverse news from around the world. And surprisingly guys, in today's episode, there are 2 news which has to do with police. And the news is Interpol launches the first global police Metaverse at Delhi conference. and the Interpol on Thursday launched their first ever metaverse, specifically designed for law enforcement agencies worldwide during its 90th General Assembly in Delhi, India. And the newscast is that the Interpol Metaverse is fully operational, and the Interpol Metaverse allows registered users to take a tour of virtual facsimile of the Interpol General Secretariat headquarters in France without any geographical or physical boundaries, interact with other officers via the avatars, and even take an immersive training course in forensic investigation and other policing capabilities. And in similar newscasts, the World Economic Forum has partnered with the Interpol, Meta, Microsoft, and others, and they have done this partnership as an initiative to define and govern the metaverse. And guys, in this partnership, they have also warned that social engineering, scams, violent extremism, and misinformation could be particularly challenging, so really interesting times ahead. The next news is all the way from Pakistan, and the newscast says Pakistan is all set to enter Metaverse with country's first mega Web3 project, TCCM. And guys, TCCM, that is the City Cloud Metaverse, is a world that is always active, allowing users and players to own their personal virtual land and rent them out. And the Cloud City is an open adventure build game first metaverse. Now, they did have an event at GITEX, and that's when they made the announcement. Now, one thing to note is that the team is from Pakistan, but they are based in Dubai. And if you were at GITEX, I'm pretty much sure you might have seen them. I believe they were at Zabil Hall, and they did have an elaborate presentation. Now, the next newscast, what I'd like to talk about is about concerts. And popular Arab singers Raghib Alama and Saad Lamarid were to feature in Metaverse concert, and the concert was a step into the Metaverse, and they did that in collaboration with Mikhail Fadel, and the event was held on October 20th. Now listen guys, if you are in Dubai and in UAE, please let me know if you did actually attend the event. I did try to check it on YouTube. Unfortunately, I could not find it, but I'm pretty much sure that these artists are popular, and a lot of people did actually buy the tickets, and the tickets were available via Platinum List, which is a leading ticketing platform. The fourth news that I'd like to talk about is restaurants getting into Metaverse, and a food company secures trademark to enter Metaverse, and the food company is Kraft Foods, and the leading food brand seems to be indicating that they plan to launch virtual food, drinks, and restaurants in the future. Now listen guys, if you do want to find out so far as NFT patents is concerned, on Twitter there's an individual goes by the name of Mike Condidis, and he often shares tweets so far as NFT patents are concerned, and I've used his source quite a number of times, not just for my Metaverse Everything podcast, but also for my Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast. And Mike Condidis did share in a tweet that Kraft Food Groups has filed for a trademark for its iconic hot dog shaped Wienermobile on October 12th, and the filing revealed that the brand plans to expand into NFTs, digital tokens, virtual goods, NFT marketplaces, virtual food, drinks, and restaurants. So it looks like they're definitely making their play into Metaverse. And the fifth newscast that I'd like to talk about is about networking, and the news is the Telecom Infrared Project, also called as TIP, has introduced Metaverse Ready Networks or MRN project groups, a group that is designed to accelerate network readiness to support Metaverse experiences by supporting the development of new network solutions and architectures. And the members that are included are absolutely massive. They have Meta, they have Microsoft, they have T-Mobile, Telefonica, and Sparkle. So it looks like this particular group will definitely help in the advancement of mainstream adoption of Metaverse. And this group, combined with Metaverse Standards Forum, will definitely help in mainstream adoption of Metaverse. And I do think that if you're a business entity who's getting into Metaverse, or if you're a startup, you definitely need to check this out. Now guys, the next news that I'd like to talk about is 5 Metaverse news from Dubai and UAE. And the first news has got to do with Digital Twin. And Do, which is a leading telecommunication company, has partnered with RTA, that is Road Traffic Authority, for Digital Twin solution, and they are leveraging innovative telecommunications, IoT, and extended reality technologies to demonstrate a next generation approach to digital twinning. And they were at the GITEX event last week, and they did talk quite a lot about the innovation that they are taking place. And guys, if you've been following Do, they have been in the blockchain space going back to 2016 as well. So the top executives from Do and the blockchain team from Do are definitely tech savvy. The next news, guys, which I'd like to talk about is got to do with police, and this is got to do with an emirate of UAE called Ajman. And the news, guys, is Ajman Police has become the first police agency to provide its services to customers through Metaverse technology, and this was announced via an official tweet. Now, 3 months ago, I did mention about this very specific news, so it looks like UAE, especially the police, is making a massive headway so far as NFTs and Metaverse is concerned. And last week at the GITEX event, the Dubai police did announce the second launch of its NFTs, and I do believe 150 people were given the second batch of NFTs. So surprisingly, guys, police is definitely looking into Metaverse, not just in UAE, but also in Interpol as well. And the third news, guys, is about blockchain DXB's Metaverse Everything podcast Ask Me Anything series, which I did cover earlier in the session. And the session will be live via MetaQuest. And guys, look out for Rooftop 42. The fourth news is to do with hospitals in Metaverse, and the project is called as Bio-Metaverse. So the news is Medcare hospitals and medical centers with operations in Dubai and Sharjah have launched their first hospitals in Metaverse. And according to the news, this makes them the first medical facility to be present in the Metaverse. So it's going to be really interesting to see how doctors interact with patients. Now, in the month of April, I did talk about a really interesting project called as Bot Pills. So what that pill is, it is extremely tiny, and that will be consumed by us human beings. But using augmented reality, it will be having cameras inside the pill, and doctors will be able to travel through your entire body. So it looks like augmented reality combined with bot pills, combined with healthcare, will be a massive deal in the Metaverse. So really interesting idea. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this protocol actually works. And guys, what I do feel, once we have mainstream adoption of Metaverse, the doctor visits will most likely happen in Metaverse. With haptic devices, it could be possible that the doctor is able to check your temperature and do quite a lot more. Maybe using augmented reality, just do operations in the Metaverse as well. It's going to be really interesting, and the future is definitely uncertain. Now guys, let's talk about the fifth and final news for today, and this is to do with Commercial Bank International. And I did cover this news, I believe it was in the month of July or something, and that time they had promised that they're going to enter into Metaverse. And guess what, guys, the promises are kept. So the news is Commercial Bank International, a corporate and retail bank headquartered in Dubai, have announced the official launch of the Metaverse location. And CBI, or Central Bank International, is the first UAE bank to have presence in the Metaverse and among the few early adapting banks in the Middle East and the world as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the customer experience is. And Emirates Bank, they also had a Metaverse session via LinkedIn that was a bit bizarre and weird because they had avatars talking about it, and they have an accelerator program with Dubai FinTech Hive. And if you're a startup, do check it out. I believe the deadline is already passed. But the massive news that Commercial Bank International have officially launched the Metaverse location, and they have done it via Decentraland. And guys, if you do want the official link for Commercial Bank International in Decentraland, go to my LinkedIn profile on the 21st of October. You will find a link. You can just click on that, and that will directly take you to CBI's location in the Metaverse on Decentraland. So that's all for today, guys, in Metaverse Everything podcast on blockchain DXB. In case if you guys have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com or info@area2071.com. And guys, check out my website. It does provide useful information on central bank digital currencies, stablecoins, and quite a lot more. And guys, if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And this is followed by 2 news and information related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And Monday to Thursdays, I also have Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. And what you're listening to right now is a Metaverse Everything podcast. And the Metaverse Everything podcast is a research-driven podcast focusing on educational and informational content about Metaverse and its impact. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a brilliant weekend ahead. Bye-bye.